to the WISE Professional Network. WISE is an initiative of Subsea Energy Australia. We work to attract, retain, develop and promote women in STEM professions in the subsea and oil and gas industries. We also support organizations in realizing their goal of establishing diverse and inclusive workplaces. WISE is a not-for-profit and needs your support to continue our work and deliver free productions like this. Head now to our website to find out how you can help. In this production, speech pathologist Thila Raja speaks on vocal engineering for professionals. Having graduated in Human Communication Sciences in speech pathology, Thila had worked in Australia and Singapore in the medical and education sectors. She then decided to start her own business called Speak for Life to help people be comfortable with self-expression through the use of their speech and voice. We hope you enjoy Thila's presentation.
Now, for the next 40 minutes or so, I'll be covering quite a bit of information and mainly three things. What our voice reveals about us. So that's a thought. I don't know many people whether you thought about such things. Public speaking is different, and using your voice to engage, that's different too. So what does our voice tell about, us? How the voice is produced and what makes us sound different from the next person. And how can you actually be heard and improve your presentation skills. Now, before I go on a little bit more, is it okay if I tell you just a tiny bit more about myself? Thank you. Celine did a brilliant job of introducing me. I am a speech pathologist. Now, I chose this topic of a voice to be heard because it is quite dear to my heart. Growing up, I was always a very shy little person, the back of the class, head down, don't call me. In university, same thing, don't make me do presentations, the whole lot, even when I was working still. And something along the line changed, because you're in meetings, you're in workplace meetings, I have stuff to say, and I'll be like, I'm not going to say it. So I look back and I thought, I don't actually know when I made the shift actually, but I think it gradually shifted. But I was that person, and I think I still am, as hard it might be for some people to believe. I think things changed a lot when I actually attended voice therapy course, so to upskill myself. And then I learned techniques on how you can use your voice, so much better. And then I thought, now that I can speak, I feel like I can control my voice a lot more to project and to engage the audience. So that's why I chose this topic, because I think it's important to be heard and to be your authentic self, because I think we all hide behind little perceptions of, maybe I talk too fast, maybe my voice is too high-pitched, maybe my voice is too low-pitched, whatever it is, anything that goes on in your head, or maybe I'll just sound stupid, whatever it is, whatever that goes through people's head. Alrighty, my first point. The most amazing, powerful tool we've got is our voice, because it tells us a lot about what's going on in our lives, pretty much. I think research says with about 30 seconds of meeting someone, we form an impression. And that could be a physical impression, she looks so-so. And then out of the 30 seconds, about 46% of your judgment is based on your voice. So you see someone, you size them up, knowingly or unknowingly, all humans do that. We all judge when we see, or we form an image when we see someone. And then they say hello, you're like, I didn't expect that voice to suit somebody. Or maybe not. Has anyone had that experience before? You'd be going, So I think it tells us a lot about our personalities. So it talks a lot about us. It talks about internal state, mainly our emotions. I don't know whether it's clear enough far away there. Is it all right? Okay. Our emotions. Have you ever got up on the wrong side of bed and you probably didn't feel like going, good morning, everybody. But just like, yeah, hi. It's very, very hard to hide your emotions in your voice unless you're really, really skilled. That's one thing. Obviously, voice forms part of your first impression. So apart from your body language, from how you're sitting, how I'm standing, if my voice doesn't hold up, I would have lost your interest by now. It defines your social interaction. I guess it's the way you talk to your colleagues is different to the way you talk to your managers, the way you talk to your friends, yada, yada, yada. I like this part quite a fair bit, the life experience in general. So our voice is a reflection of just us as a total. Your social background, your cultural background, developmental psychological conditioning. And what does that all mean? It just means the way we're brought up. Some people may have experiences of being told, oh, you sound like a sissy, or you sound like a girl when you're speaking. When you're young, or you talk too fast. I can't understand you. Whatever random comments you might have gotten at school, or maybe you didn't. But that kind of sticks in someone's head. Or stop mumbling, speak up, I can't hear you. Those kind of things when you're hearing as you're growing up, that tend to stick with us. And when we are older and we are speaking in the working world, in real life, you might go, oh, you know what, I think I'm a mumbler. I think my voice is whatever, too high pitch, too low pitch, whatever. So all these things, conditioning, exist in our head. I think it's good to be aware of them, and aware of them if they're limiting you. If they're not limiting you, then great, but just being aware of them so you can get them to not limit you. Obviously, sexual orientation. So if you pick up the phone, you would know more often than not if you're talking to a male, if it's got a deep voice, or if it's a female. More often than not, some people's voice can err in the middle. So I guess it does tell you sexual orientation. Now, these three, I just Googled and I had a laugh because I couldn't tell how tall someone is on the phone, but Google has come up with some really cool things. It says, you talk on the phone, some things about someone's voice, the pitch indicates the height. I never experienced that. I don't know if anyone has. And I thought that's fun. The age of a person, well, that's true, because you do know if you're talking to a slightly younger person or an older person. And that can, obviously, the older voice is different. And the last one is a sex appeal. I had a big laugh when I saw that. And there was like 10 ways your voice could be keeping you single. And I thought, really? I thought, I should write a blog post like that because, I'll probably get more hits. It's just other people look for this stuff. And there's lots of things, how many ways your voice can keep you single or something weird in an unhappy relationship. The impressions also mean our volume, the tone of our voice, how fast or slow we speak, and whether we are high-pitched or low-pitched. And these influence the way you're perceived. So sometimes, we can, and I'll talk more about this, you can end on a rising inflection like hello, like I'm questioning someone, right? Or hello. And that means more authority, meaning like you're studying the scene. So I think it's important to know or have in your mind the impression you like to set before you enter a meeting, before you do a presentation, before, I guess, interaction with someone. If you're going, look, this is going to be a fun, approachable, communicative, collaborative meeting, you want to have a bit more of a rising inflection, a bit more upbeat tone. This is a really serious meeting. You want to be a lot more flat. You want to be keeping your inflection like more central and lower, because then you get the, you're asserting your authority, asserting your credibility, and it's more like you have to listen to me. It's a serious topic today. Right. Now, I thought it'd be important to just get a bit of technicalities. How is our voice produced? Bit technical over there, but it's basically three components. The lungs, which are massive, and then our larynx, which are our voice box, and our oral resonator, which is up there. So with our lungs, it's very important because you are using it for breathing. Very important because half of us do not tend to breathe routinely, surprise, surprise, or use our breathing effectively when we are talking. Because sometimes you might have experienced, I'm running out of breath when I'm talking. I find like I'm speaking too fast. A lot of things, the breath can have an effect on your speech. So that's important. That's number one. And I'll talk more about them in detail as we go on, but I wanted to cover them as a whole first. And then, so obviously these are our lungs. This is where your voice box is, thereabouts. And your voice box is called your larynx, Adam's apple pretty much. And that's where our vocal cords sit. Our vocal cords are really small. They are like the size of your thumbnail. They're tiny. They just sit on top there. And they vibrate, and that's how you make sound. So if you're just breathing in, breathing out, without making any sound, nothing is happening, your vocal cords are actually open because they're allowing for air to come out. When they start vibrating is when you make any sound. That's also a sound. That's when they vibrate. Now, how they move, they actually move this amazing wave, and it's super fast. For females, the vocal cords vibrate like that super fast in a nice wave, about 200 times a minute. That's why we sound a lot more higher pitched than our male counterparts. For the males, I think it's about 80 to 100 times a minute, the vibration of the vocal cords. Obviously, where the vocal cords sit for males is lower, for females is higher, and that can be trained because people go, oh, I sound too deep, I sound too high, I don't know, everything else. But that can be trained. It's dependent on how fast the vocal cords vibrate and how high and low they sit. And then you got air, you got sound, but the sound is shaped by our most important receptors, which is the oral resonators, oral and nasal. Oral, and I mean our jaw, which we use a lot when we're talking, but we don't actually think about it. Our jaw, our lips, that's the one there, and it helps, will make a lot of sounds very clear. I'll talk more about them at the end as well. And the tongue, because the tongue needs space to move. Have you been told you're a mumbler? Sometimes. I've been told, by the way. I have been told personally, because I switch off. And, you know, we mumble because we just tend not to open our mouth and just tend to, you know, that's me mumbling without any effort. So 3 things. We have our oral resonators, and they help you project. The more you open your mouth, the more you can cover the space of the room. There's more vibration happening inside there. Air's coming, vibration happening, and you cover a huge space of audience. Nasally, you know, we've all had people who speak nasally. Air through the nose. In English, there's only 3 sounds that get emitted through the nose. That's the M sound, M, and N, and NG. 3 sounds only. Only 3 sounds. Whereas we have had quite a few people sometimes sound really nasal, like what I'm doing right now. That's a conscious effort for me because I'm trying to sound nasal. But some people have that as a maybe normal voice. But, you know, a couple of things about nasality, it increases your volume, increases to be sharper, but it's not very pleasant on ears. That's what my personal belief, but it's up to people's perception about voices. Now, I wanted to talk a lot about the different variety of voice. I think I covered that a little bit, but I'll talk again. So with the pitch, so there's the different things that come in a package with our voice. So sometimes people go, you know, I want to sound louder pitch, or not louder pitch, higher pitched, so, or lower pitched, depending on what your voice is like. Most males, as I said, lower pitched, and a lower pitched voice usually would command for more authority, more respect, more credibility, everything else. But that doesn't mean us females need to sound really deep, because that's quite unnatural. I guess it's to the comfort of where your voice is. Okay? Some males come and say, look, I sound too high pitched, I want to go really deep. And some of us do lots of funny things to our vocal cords. We try to speak like deeper when we try to speak with a lower pitch. But, you know, pitch varies due to lots of things, because it can go higher pitched when you're anxious. And people are like, oh my God, I don't want to give this talk. I don't want to talk to this person. My pitch is going to go higher and higher because I'm getting more and more nervous. Or I could be really excited, like I'm super excited and my pitch has just gone up. And I guess for a female as well, it just makes you look a bit less credible. I'm sure all of us, or maybe not all of us, I'm sure some of us might have had that experience. I myself have had that experience of going, I think I need to bring it down a tone, because I think it needs to be aware of when I'm going higher pitch, when I'm sounding too excited. It's great to bring excitement to the room. Controlled excitement will be a lot better perceived than, hi everyone, I've got this to share and I'm really excited, da 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 da, and then you go on this high pitched note. Not to say it doesn't happen to males, happens to males too. But I guess males have a better advantage because they were resting lower pitch to start from. So you would go higher, and pitch happens in both genders. It's just a bit lesser with the males. Volume. I guess with volume, the louder volume commands more respect, more authority, I think as all of us know. So, but that doesn't mean you have to be like straining to make volume or to talk to your audience or your meeting people. Softer volume, you get perceived as maybe she's really shy, or maybe she's soft-spoken, maybe she's always like that. I sometimes do not think that's true. I think sometimes people are just finding it difficult to project. I don't think it reflects so much on someone's personality, but that's why we get perceived. If I'm really like soft-spoken, oh, you know, she's not that assertive, she's easy to get by. I think that's common perceptions we have. So I think being aware of that could be quite useful. And I have to say the same thing about, rate of speaking. Rate of speaking is a little bit the same as, you know, you speak faster when you're excited. You speak faster when you're anxious. You speak faster. I can't think of any other reasons, actually. Anyone else, any other reasons when you speak faster? I guess you're anxious and excited. You're pretty high.
When you're under time pressure?
That's right. When you have to deliver all your... Yeah, that's a good one, actually. If you've got so much information to cover. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But someone never speak faster if you're bored, if you're exhausted, or if you're just... well, I guess you're really tired or fatigued. Because, you know, if think about this, if you're going into a meeting and you're trying to make an impression, you're trying to, I don't know, do a sale, whatever, talk to your stakeholders, no one's going to reduce the rate of speaking to the point that it's so slow that it's going to lose interest to someone. That could mean, you know, I'm really paced, but just keeping up with the pace so you engage somebody else. Just be cautious of that. Tempo, meaning the tone of the entire session. It's going to be a fun, engaging, informative session, or maybe it's just going to be dry and we're just going to have lots of information. Maybe a text session is just going to be, look, these are the facts, we're going to get them covered. There's no playing around with this fancy stuff. Quality of voice is a favorite of mine. Sometimes I get my clients to describe their quality of voice, and it'll be interesting if I get some answers from you guys too. So what do you actually think of your voice? If I gave you, like, how would you describe your voice? I've had words thrown at me like, my voice sounds thin, my voice sounds deep, my voice sounds, you know, like, what's the word? Not strong enough, or breathy, or stuff like that. Lots of different words. So it's important to actually think maybe what your voice sounds like. Or the biggest one, which has been a bit more common in the recent years, is the vocal fry. You know, if I speak a little bit like this, it's a little bit of the Macy Gray happening over there. And, you know, I kid you not, some people actually think, when we people in that population, that is actually a nice voice to copy. Like, hello, my name is Thila. I couldn't imagine that being very engaging or very captivating. But I think when it comes with a famous singer, I think it comes with some popularity. You know, certain parts of the population get influenced, I think. There was actually a research shown on that, vocal fry, ladies with vocal fry, and it's more so females than males. I'm not too sure why. Maybe it's just a singer lifestyle. I'm not too sure. But, you know, they don't get past interviews. I was thinking, yes. Because you are projecting, I don't know, like a really dry image, something. But, yeah, so if people have different ways of describing a voice, but it's kind of good to know what you might associate your voice with. Is it rough? Is it good? Is it breathy? Is it strong? Whatever the words are. Alrighty. Simple things on what you can think of or be very mindful of when you are, you know, having an important presentation, having an important meeting. Hydration is a very big thing. You've seen me probably guzzle a fair bit. 2 to 3 liters of water in a day would be ideal. Because a simple reason, because hydration is healthy. You have to be healthy. Number 2, you have enough hydration, they hydrate, they move your muscles. Muscle flexibility is as simple as that. You're not hydrated enough, your muscles don't move as much. I'm not talking about the big muscles, I'm talking about the tiny muscles that vibrate in there. They are also muscles, and they need to vibrate super fast to get you more resonant. That's a very, very important thing. And, you know, feel free, if you have the time, to sip water throughout the meeting, if you have that much of time. I think hydration is underrated. And on a side note, I had, just in the past week, about 3 doctors, just one-to-one, just coming to talk to me about their voice. And I kid you not, I've asked them, so how much do you drink? And I'm bearing in mind, I'm asking a doctor this. And they're like, not much. And they're like, you do know you're asking a doctor that. Less than 1 liter. I was like, what? Yes, talk about health. And they know, the effects of hydration, but I think it's just lifestyle. It just gets to you. You're out and about. You don't want to carry a water bottle. Doesn't look cool. Whatever on earth the reasons are, hydration is very, very important. It does change the quality of your voice. And that's not made up. Sleep is very important too. At least, I know 6 to 8 hours sleep, continuous, uninterrupted. I know life happens, parenting happens, kids happen, I don't know. You might stay awake, I don't know what else to stress happens. We sometimes get up and go, I haven't slept enough. That's one thing that really affects me. If I don't have enough sleep, I find my quality of my voice, it actually drops a few notches. And try it for yourself. If you're sleep deprived, the chances of your voice sounding a lot more strained, a lot more tired, a lot more weaker, a bit more like this, is pretty high, depending on your, stress capabilities. Stress, of course, stress tightens muscles, tightens big muscles, tightens tiny muscles. So if you feel like this is a tense meeting, check yourself. You'd be like, okay, what am I doing? I'm holding everything tight. I'm definitely holding my vocal cords tight. Nobody actually knows how you're holding your vocal cords because they're so small, right? But no one actually feels them. I haven't felt them too. So I was going to say, unless you're a doctor, but no one actually feels them because they're hidden there. So you would be, if you're feeling tensed, yes, your voice is feeling tense too. If you're feeling this is a tense meeting, I don't want to be here. Something. Be aware because you'll be tightening your hands, you'll be tightening your legs, you'll be tightening your rib cage, and you definitely will be tightening your vocal cords like what I just did. Okay? Caffeine is a big one. I would say, I don't really care how many coffees people have in a day, but ideally if you can prevent a coffee before you talk, if it's a presentation, if it's a meeting, if it's something really important to you and you want to come out with your best, before an interview, I think that's important too. And that's a very big thing. I was asked today, I hope I spelled that correctly. I think I did. I was asked today because I went to the gym in the morning. And one of the gym guys was talking about his voice and, I started the day and blah, blah, blah. And what can you tell me about my voice? And then he said, I need to have my coffee in the morning before I start. And I was like, oh, because he said it's the morning that's hard. And I couldn't think of anything else that could substitute. Well, you can have green tea, but that doesn't do the same as a coffee. So if anyone's got brilliant ideas, let me know. Because he's like, I need to have a coffee before I start. Otherwise, I don't know, I'm just too exhausted. I'm sure doctors will tell the same thing to me. But ideally, if you don't have a personal trainer lifestyle, if you don't have a doctor's lifestyle, I don't know what other lawyer's lifestyle. I'm sure you guys are very busy people too. But if you are having a meeting that's really important to you, I would say avoid caffeine. That affects me too. I do lots of one-to-one sessions, a lot of voice sessions, and a lot of voice exercises. And I find that sometimes when I just had enough of the day and I have a coffee, my own vocal range is not as good as it normally is. So yeah, just something to bear in mind. Smoking, given, dehydrator. Have a smoke after your meeting, whenever it is. And alcohol, same thing. You guys probably might have a lot more meetings with alcohol involved, being engineers, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that. But if you're the person giving the speech, apart from Christmas parties and fun stuff, then I would say, and if you are someone that goes, I don't really want to make this speech, then just have that drink after, just really, because it does constrict muscles. And our voice has got very, very small, or our vocal cords are small muscles. They're not big muscles like this, you can't see them, so they would constrict. So ideally, if you're the one giving an exciting Christmas talk, speech, whatever, avoid the alcohol until after the speech. Awesome. Now I'll talk a little bit more specific stuff about posture. I think I've lost my notes over there. Now, a very important thing about posture is and I'm not assessing anyone's posture over here, do not worry. It's only when you're talking, I would say, just be quite cautious of it when you are presenting. I think a lot of people miss out the fact that our heads are involved in talking. So, sometimes when you're tense, the entire body moves like that, but your head is actually free to move. So that plays with your posture too. If you're finding you're standing in a meeting and you're like, hello, welcome, blah, 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 that is a really tense person talking to you, FYI. because you are able to move your head anytime you like. Okay? And the other thing, our head is about 7 kilos. It's pretty heavy. I don't know how, yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's like almost like a dumbbell plus more. So it is 7 kilos, and you're balancing it on a tiny spine, the entire spine. So every time the head goes backwards or frontwards or anything else funny, you would be putting your speech system under unnecessary work. So if I'm supporting, you can try this for yourself. Just drop your head to your chest for a few seconds, and you'd feel the back of your neck kind of stretch out. And you are supporting it, right? So maybe this happens when you're in webinars, when you're, web conferencing with this thing in the middle, and you're talking to that little, whatever you call it, speaker in the middle. So just watch your posture. If you may be leaning, but do not do this like chin tuck or something so that you're trying to get as close to the speaker. The other thing is, do not do the whole extension bit. I think we have this capacity to do the whole, hello everyone, here I am today, and trying to project your voice, but notice my body posture has gone out of line too. So you want to be quite aware of what you are and where's your head in relation to your whole body. That's very important. I find that if you have a fist, well, everyone's got a fist, a fist under your chin, that is a good 90-degree rule, especially for the head, because then you're not too much of a chin tuck in a meeting, so you're not talking down to whoever or to your table. You are engaging with the rest of your teammates, because otherwise you're looking there and you're kind of like, I'm writing notes and I'm looking up. It's a lot better if I'm writing notes and I'm looking up that way. So ensure that you're not squishing your chin, or neither are you too far, then you're too extended, because your 7 kilos is kind of balanced there. So that's what I wanted to say about, when you're seated, when you're on webinars, when you're on phone calls, whatever it is, just be mindful. I think it's great to have feet that are planted on the floor. I think we all tend to cross our legs every time we want to, but if it's a presentation or a speech or a meeting you're engaged in, something that you're going, I don't really want to be here. It's not my forte. I don't want to be engaging in this. Something that makes you feel nervous. Uncrossing is one of the best ways to reduce your stress. Because when you cross our legs, cross our hands, cross anything, we tend to tense. We tend to do whatever it is. Or even I'm crossing to the back. I could do this when I'm highly tensed, when I don't want to be standing up here and talking as well. So just as much as you can, unlock everything so you're kind of separate, in other words. Locking knees. Now this is when you are actually standing up and presenting. How many of you guys have heard of, stand up straight and present when you're talking? Might have heard of that. Yes? Yeah? So I think that it's good to stand up straight because you don't want a slumpy presenter for sure. But you don't want a presenter who's like super straight like me at the moment. Makes me uncomfortable, makes you uncomfortable as well, I'm sure. Because I'm fixated. This maybe you behind a lectern, maybe you at this, maybe you here, no one can see your knees. But it's you at full attention. And I guess it's got its purposes in the military, in the army, when you're full attention. But locking your knees when you're standing, and you can check this for yourself when you stand up, whether you lock your knees, that means you're super dead straight. It's not great because you do tend to tense the other muscles of your body, and it'll impact on your breathing as well. So just kind of loose knees. If you're feeling like it's a meeting I don't want to go to, do a bit of jiggle and go there. Just ensure you do not lock it out. It is actually a big thing. Rounded shoulders, as we all know, so no one is like wanting a slumpy presenter, someone who's talking like this. I'm bending over my notes once in a while, but I tend to do that. I think people are more aware of this because when you're sinking in. But I think be aware if you're in a meeting or if you're somewhere and you go, I want to say something, but I don't know I'm going to say it. And then I'm slowly shrinking away. I'm slowly disappearing away. This might happen. So check yourself when you're actually sitting and going, am I comfortable? Am I engaged? Am I involved? Do I want to be involved? And sit up straight, because that will present yourself as, I'm trying to hide and go away too. Or make myself small. The other opposite is when people have this super contracted, shoulders back, super attentive position. That's not great as well because your rib cage is being pushed out and you have to work a lot harder to breathe and speak at the same time. So when you're standing and you're feeling like, look, I really want to have the best impression, I'm going to stand super straight. Don't put your shoulders so back that they hurt because that's not natural, but kind of just relax them so you're actually relaxed when you're presenting. because that, I think, is quite a common thing too, because you want to, engage everybody and have a great posture. Another one, I had to mention this. I got this, I don't know actually from where. So it's from social media, but I stole it from somewhere. Anyway, this talks about how, we all check our phones on a daily basis. And just notice, because your head is pretty heavy, like I said, every angle you do, and if you're on the train onto work and you're doing this the whole time and you're reading this tablet of yours or your messages, that's a lot of work your head is holding, your body's doing to actually hold yourself up. So I reckon the next time you're on your phone, you check your phone. A good way is to check it like this. A short way to check it like this and to look up would be great. But, if you have long train rides, long commutes, and you're just going, notice the amount of strain you place on your neck. You walk into work that way, you'll be working a lot harder to maintain yourself, to present yourself, pretty much. So I quite love this because I figured when I was, not talking, but I'm on the phone, I'm doing this all the time. So I think we do that all the time. So just be aware. So you want to place less strain on your spine and be a better presenter. Breathing. I find that people, your breathing affects you. You could speak faster, you could speak a lot slower, depending on how much of breath you take. People go, I've got so much to say, I run out of breath, blah, blah, blah. It's just breathing techniques. That's important. A very big thing, speaking on exhalation. What do I mean? Is you're speaking when you're breathing out. So let me just do that. I just took in a breath and I'm speaking when I'm breathing out. That's different because I'm measuring it. Whereas if I'm speaking, I just took in a breath, I did not finish my breath, another half I fully let go of my breath. This is the third breath I've taken, and I need to let it go. And that happens to all of us when we are tensed, when we are maybe in an argument, or when you are in an agreement and you kind of go, I'm breathing, and you feel like super tired. Check yourself next time when you're doing that, because speaking on inhalation, speaking on breathing in is pretty hard work. It makes your listener sit on edge, because that's what I'm doing at the moment. Try and breathe and speak, and then your chest tightens as well. So be aware of that. The audible gasp is, I love that because I think I hear that lots on the radio when you ask someone a question, they're like, well, there's a little gaspy sound. I don't know if you can hear it. Like, yes, and I've got something to say. And, I'm exaggerating it at the moment, but we all have that, and we've heard that. Ideally, you would like to just complete your breath and then speak. So if I'm like, what's your name? Thila. I don't need such a big breath. What's your name? Thila. I'm speaking on breathing out. So just measure yourself by going, or what do you think of this proposal? And then think, I'm going to breathe in, speak on exhalation. It will do a huge amount of difference for your confidence, for your listener, because you look a lot more confident than you are as well. I kid you not. That's a really good one. It's an easy one to follow. Nasal versus mouth breathing. We all have our purposes. The nose is used for breathing. The mouth is also used for breathing. However, I find that a lot of us, when we are speaking, I'm moving to nasal and mouth breathing. When we get more nervous, or when we are in a challenging situation or anything, we tend to breathe more through the mouth. Now, all of you can try this. Taking a breath through your mouth, and you would feel something tighten, which is your ribcage. And you'd feel like you need to let it go as soon as you can. So this is what happens if I'm like, oh, what do you think? I think blah, 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 blah. And I've just taken a breath from my mouth. And I need to let it go. So it'll rush your speech as soon as you start opening your mouth. Whereas for the nasal breathing, I think blah, 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 is you get a lot more control over your breathing if you are put on the spot, asked a question, and you go, okay, I'm going to answer this. Taking a breath, ideally through the nose, if you're allowed to, or if you have enough time, and just answer. It actually calms your nerves a lot more than your mouth breathing. Because, the mouth is used for breathing too, but it's more like, when you're dying on the treadmill or something. Or when you're trying to gasp for breath and you're swimming, right? Or anything cardio. I can just think of someone's crossing the road, you want them to stop. You yell, you use like a very short amount of oxygen. You don't, I think I should need to take a breath in 10 kilometers per hour. I don't know. You need to use both nasal and oral. Nasal when you want to be more controlled, calm, in control of your answer, or when you're in a meeting. Diaphragmatic breathing is my very good one. It is usually that when we breathe in through the nose, your tummy has to expand, which is your diaphragm expanding, your lungs are expanding. So, and you're breathing out through your lips, your tummy goes in. I don't know whether you can see this, but I'm sure you can. If I'm breathing in, I won't talk because I can't do talking and breathing same time. Like that. So you can have a bit of play with your breathing. It's a lot easier when you're lying down because you're not fighting with gravity. Now this is the way how babies, those people who've got small kids at home, up to about 3, I think, toddlers, you see them breathe when they're walking, when they're talking, when they're doing anything. The tummy kind of just expands. And that's how all of us, are meant to breathe, especially when you grow up. And then gravity takes over. Stress takes over, life just takes over, and we go, I'm going to speak. And the whole chest rib cage area moves. And that's quite a significantly stressful part if you're just going, I'm going to breathe and speak. Something always tightens there. If you're already a nervous speaker, you'll be more tensed anyways. So just be very mindful of that. Have a play with that because I think that is really, really effective in helping you calm your nerves down and control your speaking. Pitch. I get asked this, excuse the pictures, I didn't actually choose them. I don't know what a shoe's doing there, but a pitch. So how do you actually modify the pitch of your voice? I get asked this sometimes, I sound too deep, too high, too low, whatever that is bothering you about your voice. And this is a great exercise. The yawning exercise is like literally a yawn and a sigh. Singers do that. And people feel free to yawn anytime you want to now. Every time I say that, I trigger some yawns in the room. I do not take it as rude. Just go ahead and yawn. I think it's brilliant. What it does is actually opens up the back of your pharynx, the back of your neck. So it increases the amount of space that you've got, and your voice actually gets clearer, gets more resonant. So it's actually a really good way, and it relaxes your nerves. I mean, nobody's stressed actually yawns. Everyone tired yawns. Everyone wants more oxygen in their yawn. Or everyone that's doing a voice exercise yawns, or if you're bored. But it's a really good one. And like a stifle yawn, when you're in a boring meeting and you're like, I can't yawn, but I'm yawning. That's a really good exercise too. It's actually a voice warm-up exercise. And singers do that all the time. So if you're caught yawning next time, just say I was doing my voice exercises. Getting ready to speak. And just, hyping myself up. And humming exercise, that's great. People can go, I think a lot of our speaking, and I'll talk more about that. Our speaking sometimes is backward humming. No, as in backward voice. So this is my backward voice. This is my frontal voice. I hope you could hear the difference. And that's my difference. I hope you could hear the difference. So a lot of us, I think we pull our tongue back and we speak from the back of our throats, as opposed to the front, forward resonance. So what you can do is humming and play around with normal humming. My tongue is at the back of my mouth. My tongue's in the front. That's annoyingly high-pitched. So have a go and you go, where you feel comfortable, where your tongue feels nice and rested. That's your comfortable pitch. Your tongue is straining, your tongue is working too hard. That's not a comfortable pitch unless you were preparing to sing or something, professional singers or something like that, okay? And that's a really good exercise I like because you know whether I'm speaking from the back of my throat or I'm speaking from the front of my throat. Because you want to sound resonant, forward resonance. That's what you want. Nasal versus non-nasal speaking. I think that's one of a personal preference / sometimes people actually have a medical condition that they sound like they've got a permanent cold. That's different. Or sometimes people are actually trying to be louder and then they speak really nasally. So there is a difference between both. You can be loud without being nasal. So that's something you're interested in, come and talk to me. But it's quite important to know when I'm talking nasal. A good example is if I mean and I close my nose. I can't do that. If I'm saying and I close my nose, the quality of my should not change. That means I'm not losing air through my nose. Whereas, the air kind of disappeared because I went through my nose. So that's when you have got a nasal voice. That means air is escaping from your nose when it shouldn't. That's where you get a nasal voice. Speaking voice, I think how to use it best, as I said, rising inflection is when you are maybe having a question you want to ask someone. Hello, how's everyone? That was me handing, hello, how's everyone? I'm not expecting a reply for this one because my voice is a downward pitch. You know what I mean? When it goes, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? And I just keep walking. That's because, that's a different meaning. It's just like credibility, I guess. It's dominance, it's authoritative. It's got a purpose when you want to use it. But just be aware of how you actually sound when you are speaking. If you are speaking in a very serious topic and you're discussing something really important, you want to ensure that your inflection remains constant and you're inflecting down a little bit. We can do a practice in the next slide, but I wanted to quite point that out. Because I get I think a lot of speakers that I see come across and they have this like inflecting voice. They end at high every time of the voice. So the voice is always going up and you feel like, I just want to tone you down because you don't have to sound like you're singing or you don't have to sound like you're questioning or you don't have to sound like what I'm sounding right now. Pretty annoying. So the next one is opening your mouth when you're speaking. That's a big one for me because it stops you just simple from mumbling. It gets you a lot more louder. And rule of thumb is 2 finger space. 2 finger space. So when you're speaking, it's pretty big. Your mouth is pretty open. Yeah, it's pretty big. And people go, oh, God, that's huge. It's like, I, at the moment, hope I do not look like a clown when I'm speaking. But I think I've trained myself to open my mouth. And I've kind of gone in my head 2 finger space. It's pretty wide when you're opening. Because you want to be heard. You want to be resonant. It helps your tongue move up, down, side, everywhere. It has to move. Your tongue needs space to move. And you can only do that when you drop your jaw. When I mean drop your jaw, I mean open your mouth. You can't drop your top jaw. You only can drop your bottom jaw. Like that. Short of getting you guys to exercise, which is pretty annoying, the yawn side does it all. Or a good laugh does it all, because it loosens up your joints, because a lot of us hold tension in our joints. Or a good smile. Start with a smile if it's not an extremely serious topic. Because it does relax your joints, puts your listeners in a good spot as well, and you're starting from an open jaw rather than a clenched jaw or a closed jaw. That's pretty close. You want to open and speak. And it improves your clarity lots more. For resonance, like I talked about, you're sounding from the front of your mouth rather than the back of your mouth. Have a play with this, because I think people go, what do you mean this front and back? It's the same thing. It's money in my mouth. There is space to go back and just space to go front. Next slide. I just thought that's a bit of a practice we can do. Like, anyone game? If I'm going to say hello, that's me inflecting down. Now I've just done like a chin tuck. Hello, that's it. Hello, I've looked up. I haven't tried very hard. I really haven't. I haven't gone, hello, and I'm yelling, hello, looking down. Hello. Today we face an uncertain future. Notice my head is just going down the whole time. Today we face an uncertain future. That sounds very exciting to be an uncertain future. From the efforts of our competitors. From the efforts of our competitors. You know what I mean? So just be aware of where your chin goes, because you can definitely do that to control that. If you're meaning more authority, looking down more serious, more credible, you are going to be toning it down, putting a chin tuck. If you forget, go, I don't know what voice I'm using, just look down a tiny bit, just tiny bit. And it will change. You can't go, hello. You can't. It's just very hard to go, hello, unless you're acting or something, okay? So ensure that if you're chin tucking, it's pretty hard to go the other way. So if you're planning to be serious, chin tuck. If you're planning to be nice, approachable, friendly, whatever else you want to say, chin up a little bit more. I thought I'd summarize that for you guys. Pretty much how to have a great voice when you're speaking. Vocal hygiene, not keeping the voice clean, but I guess great voice health. Talking about hydration, the usual stuff I think all of us know. Posture, very important. Think about that, especially when you're in a meeting or in a webinar. Breathing, I love diaphragmatic breathing. It helps you calm your nerves, calm your listener too. The pitches, you can do yawns and humming if you're trying to go, I sound too high pitch, I want to sound lower. And the actual speaking. If one thing you remember, just open your mouth. Just open your mouth. As much as it feels awkward, as much as it feels like I'm exaggerating, it will slow you down because your mouth is open. You have to slow down. You will use a lot more oxygen. You will pause more. You will take a lot more breaks. You will be slower. Everything I've just done. And you will probably slow down. I think that was the end. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for my clicker.
No, thank you, Thila, so much for.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this WISE production. We hope that you enjoyed it and learned something new. WISE is a not-for-profit organization. Head to our website now to find out how you can help so we can keep supporting the women in our industry and developing free productions like this.